mo sabihin walang influence yung congressman to stop this.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, if I may, we fully understand that there are legislators who can champion the enforcement.
We're the ones who filed this is a local bill. The congressman was the one who filed for the declaration of a legislated protected area. We cannot pass a law in the Senate unless it pass in the lower house. And yung congressman mismo ang nag-file nito. Nobody can file other than the congressman. This is a local bill. Kaya merong involved na congressman in every legislated protected area. Oo, kaya yun, i-pinpoint nyo yun kasi they have the power to influence. Yeah.
But when I chaired environment and filed the 94 protected areas, there were no counterpart bills in Congress at that time for some.
No, you cannot pass a bill that there is no local bill to counterpart. Kaya nga ayaw aprubahan yan eh. And then I was so confident I can have the proof 94 kasi there were 94 congressmen there. Will they not please to approve this bill? 94 eh. Kaya ang tapang-tapang ko eh. Kasi kakampi ko 94 congressman eh. 200 lang ang congressman. Di kakampi ko na yung kalahati. Di ba? So you just have to inform them what's happening. Like I was so surprised dito sa parang natuwa nga ako sa congressman from Siargao. Pinadeclare niya the whole Siargao as a legislated protected area. Sabi ko nakakatuwa to kasi yung sikat diyan sa Aklan, di naman nila pinadeclare eh. Yung what you call that, the Boracay, it was not declared, but Siargao was declared, the whole Siargao was declared as a legislated protected area. Kaya bilib na bilib nga ako doon sa congressman eh. Bihira yun eh. But this 114 legislated protected area were supported by Congress. Their particular congressman. Kaya may kakampi kayo doon eh. Kasi kung ayaw nila, they will not file a bill that will have it declared as a protected area. Oo.
Madam Chair, if I may continue. So, Good Secretary, pending po yung submission nung database na po na iyon, lahat po ng mga impormasyon na hinihingi namin about the, I believe, Madam Chair, the Chair mentioned if possible within the week. Opo. Pending that, just two quick points and then to bring it back also particularly to the SBSI Pacbarma. Kanina we were talking about SAPAS vis-a-vis Pacbarma. So I understand SAPAS are for large projects. For example, Kaliwa Dam, another controversial project, Wawa Dam, etc. Whereas Pacbarmas are people's tenurial agreements with residents already there. And last follow-up point, the four additional Pacbarmas in Socorro mentioned by the Secretary include Bukas Grande, 389 hectares, na sa aming pong research tungkol sa SBSI, related po yan, entity po yan. So baka SBSI has 353 hectares, Pacbarma under its name, pero baka may sister company or sister entity, Bukas Grande, na 389 hectares. So more than 700 hectares under SBSI. So, Madam Chair, Good Secretary, mabalik lang po dun sa Pharma sa SBSI. I appreciate sabi nyo po na right now, no movement habang pinuput together ninyo pong mga secretaries yung integrated approach. Just to bring to your attention, however, ito ikinatutuwa ng mga unang mga bata na tumakas, nagtestigo sa aming hearing ni Chair De La Rosa at ng mga magulang nila, may mga ibang bumababa na rin. And naghahanda na po sina Mayor Riza Timkang salubungin sila at humihingi na rin ng tulong sa pag-re-establish sa kanila dun sa area. Dahil yung iba sa kanila, pinilit nung kanilang mga leader ibenta yung mga bahay, lupa, wala nang mabalikan. At syempre yung iba ay concerned ano na yung magiging hanap buhay nila. So, has the department included the cost of resettling them in the 2024 budget?
Madam Chair, unfortunately, that is beyond our mandate in terms of calculating the resettlement costs of this particular community.
You
However,
should coordinate with NHA.
yes, Madam Chair.
Kasi they're all over the Philippines, yung NHA.
Yes, Madam
So-
Chair. Our first call would be for Secretary Rex Gatchalian and the DSWD to help us also establish the census and finally bring in the housing and settlement resources po, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary, Madam Chair. Tutulong na rin po ako kasi at kung si Chair sinusponsor ang budget ng DNR, ako naman po sa DSUD. So pwede po naming pagtulungang i-coordinate din kay Sec Acuzar. Yes,
May-
Madam Chair.
Deputy Minority Leader and Madam Chair, in the second hearing of DNR, and when they submit the list of PAs this week with the status, may I move and request that the DSUD person in charge, focal person, maybe not the secretary, be in the hearing so that the concerns on relocating informal settlers nandyan na. Kasi minsan sa gobyerno, di nag-uusap ang mga tao, di naka-embed na yan si DSUD, si housing, para magawa na. So maybe the COMSEC can request the agency focal person so that may sagot na kaagad. Yeah, thank you.
Salamat po doon, Madam Chair. And tutulong na rin po ako mag-follow up kay Sec Acuzar. So, Madam Chair, moving now to reclamation in Manila Bay and nationwide. Okay. So, una po kaugnay nung environmental compliance review. So in the September 27 hearing, the Good Secretary committed to undertake an environmental compliance review and cumulative impact assessment of reclamation projects with the results coming in 6 to 12 months from now. So mari po bang malaman kung itong review ay magiging nationwide gaya nung pinanukala sa resolution ko?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's our view that in fact reclamation is a nationwide challenge and opportunity, if that may be expressed at this point. And so it's our view that for the development of a sound policy that is evidence informed, this review of compliance will need to be nationwide.
Salamat para doon, Secretary, Madam Chair. At lalo na dahil archipelago tayo, yung nag-iisa nga lang reclamation project may impact on more than one LGU, more than one ecosystem. So salamat na nationwide ang kino-contemplate yung review. At ito bang nationwide review, i-cover lamang yung mga inaprubahan ng PRA na may ECCs, o kasama po ba yung ongoing kung saan may ginastos ng mga public funds pero hindi kompleto yung dokumento, halimbawa walang ECC or otherwise unauthorized?
This what will be the approach initially, Madam Chair, Your Honor, will be everything that comes down to us from the PRA would be the subject of the review.
At kung naman sakali may mga i-bring sa attention ng department ng ibang stakeholders beyond PRA and with yung itong ibang mga characteristics, bukas po ba ang DNR sakupin sa nationwide review?
Absolutely, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
I love hearing that word absolutely sa ganitong klaseng mga sagot. Just saying po, Madam Chair. Salamat po. At ano po yung intensyong gawin ng DNR sa mga makikita ninyong unauthorized reclamations?
Yes, sir. Yes. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to turn over to Secretary Leones here, Undersecretary Leones for the process. However, we do realize that locally, there may be instances where some reclamation has been undertaken that would have been part of local projects and therefore would not necessarily have been submitted to the process that the PRA has. And so this is an issue that will have to be specifically addressed on a local basis with the particular LGU.
To make a manifestation on that. Lahat ng reclamation, kakampihan local. Oo. Kasi ang kapatid ko, mayor, nag-aaway kami dyan. Siyempre, ang mayor, gusto nila yon for whatever reason, I don't know. But ako kasi, I don't want my city to flood. Kaya hindi ako pumayag. Nag-away kami doon. Kaya huwag mo na tatanungin ng local. Lahat ng local kakampi.
Salamat, Madam Chair. I think another example that came out in that previous hearing na si Chair din ang nag-chair ay yung Coron po. So, thank you, Sec. Yes, you, Sec, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Based on our existing regulation, Madam Senator, our jurisdiction is really for the issuance of the ECC and area clearance. So based on these requirements, if the DNR will determine that such undertaking is being done without the necessary permits, we are usually can issue cease and desist order. We can issue penalties, and we can coordinate with the local government to request them to help us or assist us in ordering the cessation of that undertaking, Madam Senator.
So, if the local would want, nobody can stop them. Kayo ang may power to issue ECC.
Usually,
Dito, feasible na sa halimbawa yung local wala siyang pakialam kung ano magyari sa bayan niya, tapos kayo mag-i-issue na ECC. Why will you issue the ECC?
usually,
Like us, we have 4 rivers coming out of Manila Bay. There will be no place for our rivers to go to. You will issue the ECC.
Senator, Madam Senator, I'm just answering the question of Madam Senator.
What is her question?
If the undertaking has no ECC, then the DNR can issue cease and desist order and can stop.
Kaya nga.
Yeah.
But you issued ECC.
Differently. If there's if an ECC was
Like us, it's a legislated protected area. It's entitled to a buffer zone. Why are you issuing ECC? You did not consider the buffer zone of my legislated protected area. I legislated it in 2018. Oh, walang use. Nag-issue din na ECC katabi nung legislated protected area, and I'm entitled to a buffer zone. Sinabi sa akin ng DNR, I'm entitled to a buffer zone. Why is an ECC issued?
I think the question begs an answer so that if it happens, I think the question begs an answer so that if there's any other issue nationwide, we have it on record. Yes, Attorney Leones, maybe you should answer the senator.
actually that's the reason why we are now conducting, as mentioned by the Secretary, compliance review to see whether there is.
Because the president stopped all reclamation because of what happened in Bulacan, di ba? If that flood did not happen in Bulacan, this will continue and we will have a long-term struggle. But I cannot imagine a legislated protected area with 4 rivers coming out of Manila Bay. You issued ECC. You did not stop Cunyato to issue that ECC. How can you? Kanino ba under si Cunado? Walang tinanong may pambi kami. We were not informed. We're so surprised that the ECC was issued and we were not informed. So I cannot imagine what kind of regulation is that. I don't take it against Secretary Loizaga. She was not there yet. But kayo na, andun kayo, undersecretary kayo, walang man lang nag-advise sa kanya na mali yung ginagawa niya.
Para lang maliwanag po. So, it's the EMB, di ba? Hindi naman EMB si Attorney Jonas Leones noon.
Kanino siya under?
Gusto ko lang maintindihan. Parang
Director lang siya under siya to somebody.
So, the EMB issues the environment clearance certificates, but they should take into consideration the legislation that declared the area a protected area under the e-NIPAS law. So perhaps the question of Senator Villar is, because the e-NIPAS was enacted in 2018, 18,
18.
and the environment clearance certificate was issued by the DNR
In
after that.
2023.
In 2023?
Yeah. 2020.
2022. Okay, after 4 years after the law was enacted, my question is, the process of giving ECCs that will affect an area within a legislated PA, what does it go through? Briefly lang, para maintindihan namin, kasi meron naman mga activities na mahusay na binibigyan ng ECC. Ang tinatanong ni Senator Villar, what activity are you complaining about? Reclamation.
Yeah,
In
because
her
I'm
PA. Yes.
entitled to a buffer zone, my legislated protected area, and the reclamation is in the buffer
Okay.
zone.
Okay, so not just in the PA in Las Piñas, but in every PA, not all ECCs granted are bad per se. So how does the EMP evaluate the ECC process taking into consideration APA? And what is the buffer zone? Yun, para lang you clarify with us the process. Secretary Loizaga, Attorney Leones, who can answer? Para maintindihan namin. And was there a violation in the ECC granted in that respective PA? Yun. Thank you.
So if I may respond under my current term, Madam Chair, Your Honor, all ECCs in environmentally critical areas now need to contain information on the proximity or location relative to any protected area. And we are now also working on another order which will include historically important cultural properties that will be near any project that is being applied for an ECC. So these are two of the modifications we are now, we have introduced the first one, which is the indication of the proximity to the PA or within the PA as it were. And secondly, the inclusion of historically important cultural properties which may be affected by the impact of these projects being applied for in the
Do you
ECC.
consider Manila Bay as a cultural property?
Historically important cultural property, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Madam
with
Chair.
the permission of yung order ho ba yan retroactive? So like yung mga existing ngayon will not be covered by that. So for example, ito mga ongoing reclamation na at the back of Coconut Palace, which may declaration din, hindi na siya mako-cover dyan, Secretary.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, it
Ikaw
will not
hindi
be covered by this particular order. However, in the conditions of the granting of the ACC and area clearance, there are conditions on the conservation of the historically important and anthropologically and culturally important properties that are within these areas of the reclamation. So there are conditions relative to those that have been included in the granting of...
Secretary, can you just submit to the committee the conditions?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, before I continue my questions, I think this is the second time I've heard in hearing the DNR confirming that Manila Bay itself is an historically important area. So, syempre, di ba, site of the fake Battle of Manila Bay, which led to the Treaty of Paris. And kanina po, we were just talking about it off mic, but Sen JV has an important observation about the suspension as ordered by the President of the reclamation projects in Manila Bay. And yet, Madam Chair, if Sen JV would like to make it...
Yes, with the indulgence of Senator Tiberos, I told
Yes, sir.
Senator Risa that just want to get an update kung suspended ba talaga data operation ng reclamation, because I bike here almost every day and I see that there's movement. And even Senator Binay, whose office, talagang view niya yun, napansin din niya. So can we have an update?
Yes,
Bakit parang may gumagalaw?
So, dun sa comments ni Sen Risa and Sen JV, Secretary, yung table ko ho, ang view ko, yung ongoing reclamation, and I've noticed lately, parang may movement pa din, like may mga backhoe na gumagalaw. So I don't know kung kasama siya dun sa suspended.
We don't have direct information on who they are suspended. If there is movement po, what has been allowed was really to mitigate the dispersion of the sand in order for it not to be flying into the internal areas and the coastal areas. If I may, Your Honor and Madam Chair, we will look directly into these specific reports. But there have been instances wherein there were complaints by the LGU and some constituents that the sand has been dispersing inward. And therefore, we have suggested to the proponents, including the LGU proponents, that they take the mitigating measures in order to prevent and minimize this po. So if there are specific observations, we would very much welcome any movement observations, and we would definitely check on this po by going on site. Just to also inform Madam Chair, Your Honor, we have people actually inspecting, dynamically and periodically to see whether in fact there is movement. Yes, Madam Chair, but any observation po would be most welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
I
you.
just want to make a manifestation that because you were not there when they issued the ECC, I just want the Undersecretary to answer how come an ECC was issued during their time when it's a legislated protected area and it is entitled to a buffer. So why did you allow EMP to issue an ECC?
Ma'am, I'm really sorry, ma'am, but my answer here is that although I really have personal knowledge of the ECC, but I think because the jurisdiction to issue an ECC is lodged with the secretary, as mentioned during the hearing on reclamation, secretary and the EMB director. And I would suggest, Madam, I think shed light in this issue.
An ECC that have been issued, so it will form in our record that you as Undersecretary, you believe that there is something wrong with that ECC. I'm asking you.
I personally believe that based on the assessment and the provision of the law that any legislated protected area is entitled for a buffer zone, I think prior to the issuance of the ECC, these things should be considered and factored in.
So you believe that there's something wrong with that ECC?
I think so. If these considerations are not factored in the issuance of the ECC, I would believe, Madam Chair, that there is some problem in the issuance of the ECC.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, is that official still around? Yung nire-refer mo na nag-issue ng
Missing.
ECC?
It's
Missing?
missing. We issued a subpoena already.
Missing?
So we issued a subpoena already for our next hearing.
Oh.
And
Patulong tayo sa PNP, Madam Chair.
he will
Patulong tayo
not
sa
appear.
polis. Pahanap natin.
Yeah.
Pahanap natin.
We issue a subpoena already.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Secretary, since the review will be nationwide, sapat pong panahon, matatapos nyo rin po within 6 to 12 months? Or ganun kahabang panahon ng kakailanganin?
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Madam Chair. The 6 to 12 months really pertains to our Manila Bay. The cumulative impact assessment is a complex undertaking and will require institutional support on the ground as well. We happen to have some resources for disengagement in the Manila Bay situation. However, for the rest, and we're doing this now regionally, we will have to organize the scientific teams that will actually undertake each of the impact assessments. And Your Honor, I have to admit, this will take some time.
How much time, Sec? Ilang buwan o taon?
Right now, we are finalizing the documentation for the teams that will do Manila Bay. And as that comes together, and we hope that this will be within the next week to 10 days for this particular situation, we will move on to the other areas. Principally, these are areas where large-scale urban development is taking place already and where infrastructure is deemed to be needed in order to support that. by way of a port facility or other types of commercial or institutional requirements. So we're concentrating on those areas where highly urbanized cities actually are interested in these types of activities.
So pero sabi niyo po moving forward. So mauuna po yung review assessment sa Manila Bay and then susunod pa yung iba. Hindi po ba pwedeng simultaneous teams?
We can try that, Madam Chair. However, realistically, it's an issue of budgets. It's an issue of the team formation. And we do have to do a regulatory review of what actually has been issued there. So the compliance review is just one element. The impact assessment is the second. This is the one that will take the longest time po. And so it's a matter of having to organize these two activities. And yes, we can do it simultaneously, but we will need the resources and the man.